Here, I'll stand right here. Oh, can't see you. The microphone's in the way. So let's put you up here for just a minute. Say hi.
Bye.
Bye. It's always bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hi. Hi. Yeah. So as I'm sure some of you have figured out, I've got a grandson with me today. So I did cover up the foosball table because that's the thing that makes the most noise when he's playing with it. But the exchange was to uncover the pool table, which does make noise, but I find it's not as loud and obnoxious as a foosball table. And it kind of works out good because we keep the pool table covered up most of the time. Because Patrick did a lot of work on that pool table, and some of the grandbabies aren't uber clean. I mean, they're clean, but what I mean is they have a tendency to be messy. That would be Rowan. And one day she decided to scribble on it with chalk. And even though we bought that thing used, Patrick bought and replaced all the fabric, the bumpers. It was an expensive job, even with us buying the table used. And it was a lot of work. It took him a long time. So we try to keep it nice. But Jace is pretty good with it. He just likes rolling them balls around. So if it's just him, it's okay. And that way it's like, wow, I haven't got to play this in a long time. So he doesn't miss the foosball table. So anyway, by the way, if you're coming in later and you've never seen one of my live shows, be it in replay or live, just know that I always come on early before I actually start the topic. That gives people time to come in, to chat a little bit, for me to share some announcements or talk about whatever it is, like the fact that my grandson's here today. So you will be hearing some background noise. And yeah, so if you just want to scooch that little thing in about 10 minutes, I should be starting the topic about that time. So let's see. We got Deb. I know I saw Linda. She said I was finishing getting everything in the crock pot for Bible study tonight. Done with a few minutes to spare. Cool. And from Peaster, Texas. Is that how you say that? I better put on my glasses if I'm going to read these things. So hello, Kinley Jackson and J. Ray. I see you guys, but sometimes all I see are your YouTube handles and don't know what your real names are. So I gotta guess. So anyway, so some of you might have seen my post about the harasser or the stories. I haven't heard from them since I made that post. I haven't heard a thing. I believe they're just a third-rate scammer that isn't even smart enough to figure out how to hack my account, to be honest. If you would have seen the previous messages where it just seemed like it was this nice lady, very likely from a foreign country because of the way it was clear English wasn't their first language. And it just sounded like someone was contacting me to thank me for my videos. And this is not unusual. It is also not unusual for people to contact me from other countries, thanking me for my videos or asking me questions. So initially I thought nothing of it, but the email started getting a little more weird, just weird. And I'm like, what's this person up to? I mean, I can usually spot a scammer pretty easily, but none of us are completely immune. And especially when they're, I just had this feeling when they were like, so anyway, I was wondering, and started asking me if, I do help other YouTube channels get their videos out there and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I knew it. I knew I had a reason to be suspicious of your previous 2 emails. And the first 2, no. The second 2, I said, you've just been trying to work me to get my business. I said, I am not interested. Leave me alone and do not contact me again. And then they replied again saying, oh, but I do this and that, and I really do help people. I said, you just totally disrespected me when I told you not to contact me again. So now I am blocking you. Now, this is all through emails. So the problem with blocking someone on email, at least on Gmail, I don't know how it is on other types of email accounts, is all it does is send their emails to spam. but that doesn't always mean they'll always go there. And so then, to that when I sent that last email, that was a few months ago, and then nothing. It was like 2 or 3 months ago. So I thought, "Okay, good, they're gonna leave me alone now." But then the other day, they suddenly they said I get an email from them, and I think this one came into my inbox, and they just simply said, "I understand." Okay. But then the next I'm like, "Good, took you long enough." But then the next day was when they sent me another email saying, "So, hey, I never heard back from you. Are you gonna work with me or not?" And it was just on that verge of being a little bit rude, but not super rude. I said, "Why are you still harassing me? I told you to leave me alone. I am not interested." And that was when they got mean. I mean, got rude, and those were the last 2 emails I shared on in the community section and on Facebook. And I didn't reply to those. I I was trying to figure out how do I report these on Gmail. So I reported, besides just reporting as spam. I mean, obviously I've already done that. Um, I reported the first one they sent, the first rude one, as a phishing scam because which kind of fits, but it wasn't entirely accurate. And then the second one, I looked again, I looked harder, and I was able to report it as I reported their whole account. I can't remember what I reported it as. And then I reported the second email they sent as harassment slash hate, because that's what it was. I'm sure they hate me for not working with them, but it was more harassment. But I also wanted to report it as fraud. It's like you can't report it as all of the things. So I figure I'll just keep reporting it as something different every time. But ever since I did that, I haven't heard anything more. So again, I think they're just a third-rate scammer that isn't smart enough to know how to hack a YouTube account, but I know YouTube accounts have been hacked in the past. Like some of you might remember Michigan Snow Pony. I used to follow her. She was kind of a fun lady. Years ago, long before I started my channel, I first heard about her on she was one of the Homestead honeys on the Prepper Broadcasting Network that I don't even know if it's a thing anymore. And so a lot of the ladies that were on there, like Bev and, our Half Acre Homestead, and a few others I found on YouTube. Cat's Cradle, she was one of my favorites. And so I realized they had YouTube channels, so that's when I started kind of watching YouTube for the first time. I never was into YouTube before that. But anyway, Michigan, what was a few years ago? Michigan Snow Pony's account got hacked, and there was a bunch of first I was like, "What is she posting?" They were a bunch of short little videos of pictures of scantily clad women. And I'm like, Why would Renee be doing this? This is not her." And so then I started reading through comments, and I found out that she had been hacked and she never got her channel back. It looks like, at least I can tell, because I went and looked again, and all those, just because of all this recent stuff, all those videos got removed. But there's another video of some guy calls himself Michigan Snow Pony. He's clearly foreign. Sounded maybe like he was German or something like that. And I mean, he was speaking English, but he had an accent. But he called himself Michigan Snow Pony, but he was playing a video game. I mean, I'm like, this is weird. So that's why I put that out there, is if on the off chance maybe this person is smarter than they appear, which I doubt, and they somehow hack my channel and start putting up a whole bunch of racy content or video gaming content, and you guys are like, what the heck happened? I want to make sure people know that, first of all, this could happen. And second of all, this is one of the reasons why I have backup channels. I have this channel that my live is on, and I have my Rumble channel. And so, yeah, there's always options. That's if I decide to keep going, if something like that happens, I might just go, oh my goodness, I'm tired of all this nonsense. Who knows? Okay, I'm doing good for time. It looks like I've got one more minute. I don't think I have any other announcements to make before I get started, but I'm glad you guys are enjoying the series. And like I told Linda in the chat, I plan on continuing. Well, there's two parts. So the thing I'm going to be shooting is talking about is part of the watching AI video. So you don't have to series, but also a series within a series on all these dishes. So focusing on the 70s, this will be the last one I do on the 70s. I don't know why I'm saying all that now, because I'm gonna have to say it again once I get actually started. So let me go ahead and just do my greeting now. So hello everyone, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here for another video or live, if you're watching me live, on watching AI videos so you don't have to, plus the series within the series on some forgotten dishes from the 70s. So we covered side dishes, main dishes. I know there's more. We didn't get them all covered. And then today it's about, it was actually called 25 Forgotten Poor Man Desserts. So these have not all been forgotten, maybe a few of them. I narrowed it down to 20 because some of them were repeats from the side dishes, such as the Waldorf salad. No, the Waldorf wasn't mentioned. The Watergate salad and the ambrosia. Those were a couple of the ones that were already mentioned in the side dish video, because I kind of see them that way. They're those dishes that could be a dessert or a side dish. It's called a salad, so you think of a side dish, but it's a sweet dish, so it could be a dessert. Goes either way. So I figure I'll cut those ones off because I already talked about them. It seems like there was a couple more like that. And also repeats, because AI is really good, these AI videos, about repeating the same thing with slightly different wording. So there was that too. Excuse me. He does that every time I cough or clear my throat. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just a funny thing. And I think I told you guys before that one time he was in here. I think he was playing foosball or something, and I was in the other room editing a video, and I cleared my throat or coughed. I heard him make that sound in there. Of course, we have these. I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, right there on either side. And there's two more farther that way that are vents that go into the other room, so that if we have a good hot fire going, and I can turn on all these vents and blow hot air from the wood stove into here instead of turning on the electric heater. I mean, it's still using electricity, but not as much, but it's loud. But anyway, because those vents go into the living room where I do my video editing, and where the wood stove is, some sound can carry through there quite well. Anyway, so I'm glad to see a lot of you coming in. So let's get into the topic. And starting off with, and by the way, any of you recognize these, put them in comments down below, or if you're live in the chat. And if you have your own version of doing something, I'm just going to share the very basics like I normally do. And yeah, just share your experience or any other poor man's desserts that you remember from the 70s and maybe still make. So number one is no bake cookies. I obviously remember no bake cookies, and people still make them today. But for some reason, I don't remember them from the 70s. I remember them more from the 80s. So sometimes I wonder, I didn't do the research to find out if each one was accurate to the date. A couple I did. But I personally remember it, at least the best I can remember was from the 80s, at least early 80s, the first time I ever had a no-bake cookie. Doesn't mean they weren't around before that, but yeah, so just chocolate, peanut butter, oats, and or coconut. They're pretty good. I like no-bake cookies. I've never made them no, I think I did make them one time. So, okay, you made them in the 70s, Deb says. Okay. And home ec in the 70s. Oh, okay. So they are from the 70s. I just My memory just may not be serving me correctly, but I do kind of question the time frame on some of these. Um, and by the way, if you're listening to this, because I'm not going to be sharing full recipes, I'm just giving you guys ideas. If you want to try something different, new, or resurrect some other old recipes that haven't been used in a while, you can always go look any of these up online. You can find recipes to any of these. So, tapioca pudding was a very common, very inexpensive type of dessert and very easy to make. Again, I don't remember if I've made tapioca pudding. I think I might have when I was very young, like maybe in my very early teens or before that. Uh, it's pretty good. I'm curious how many people really like tapioca pudding. I wouldn't say it was my very favorite thing, but it was good. And this was one of the first desserts I got along with making homemade pies that in my early teens. I found it in my mom's old recipe book and started making, and that was apple brown Betty. Oh my goodness, one of our favorite desserts to make. And the funny thing is I haven't made this in a long time. I've made it since we've been married, but usually it's apple pie I'm making. I think it's because Patrick likes pies better than he likes fruit crisp type things. But for me, when I made it, it was apples, and then you poured some orange juice on it. Now the recipe they talked about was yeah. So okay, excuse me. You poured the orange juice over the apples, and then you made your topping, and it was what was it? It was like a blend of sugar and some spices and flour and butter. And so you cut that in and then you sprinkled it over the top and then you baked it until it was brown. This one said breadcrumbs. I never used breadcrumbs and it didn't say anything about orange juice, but that's what I did. And we loved it. I especially love that topping with all the butter. That's what made it so good. So I'm also curious on this one if people did breadcrumbs for this instead of that topping like I'm talking about. See, now when I do a topping like that, I usually, for any kind of fruit crisp, I usually am mixing it with like, um, I like to use buckwheat flour and oats, and but I still do the butter and the sugar and the spices in there. See, I'm not a pie eater either, but my husband loves pie, especially blueberry. Um, I've always been a pie person myself, which is why I taught myself how to make pies from a very early age because mom never made pies. And if she made cakes, it came from a box. So, but I was more of a pie person, especially any kind of fruit pie. That was my favorite, especially if it was a berry pie. Raspberry being right up there at the tip top. And Patrick's the same way. Though I do like fruit crisps a lot. He likes them. He just likes pie better. So, number 3, pineapple upside down cake. I honestly cannot remember if I've ever made this, but typically in the 70's and 80's, probably still today, most people will just use like a cake mix because I've shared several times about how in the 70's, that was when a lot of this convenience food really started getting pumped out. And so, people would just use like a cake mix and then you put your cherries and your pineapple slices on the bottom of the pan and your cake mix goes over the top and then you bake it and flip it and now you got this pretty cake with the pineapple and cherries. Now I really like pineapple upside down cake, but again, I don't remember if I've ever made it, but if I ever do make it, I would definitely use cake mix that I made from scratch. I don't buy box mixes, and you don't have to either, and that would make it more frugal. Now, the thing I thought was kind of funny about calling this a poor man's dish. Now, I don't know what canned pineapple was back then, but it's not one of your cheaper fruits. So I don't really consider anything with pineapple or certain other tropical fruits as being a poor man's thing, and not everybody has that in their cabinet. I don't have canned pineapple on hand. I do have some. I do buy fresh pineapple every so often and use it fresh or dehydrate it. Dehydrated pineapple is so good. It's chewy and wonderful. And then you have freeze-dried pineapple that is good for flavoring things if you powder it up. But yeah, they're both really good. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe that's what his way of saying bless you, grandma. He's crazy. Okay, so then there was another one called icebox cake. Let me read my horrible handwriting with my glasses. Icebox cake. Who remembers this one? So it was graham crackers layered with whipped cream and then stored in the fridge overnight. And basically the whipped cream and the graham crackers would soak up the whipped cream. At least they said whipped cream and not Cool Whip this time. And you could layer it with fruit or put fruit on top, but as it soaked in the refrigerator overnight, the whipped cream would or the graham crackers would soak up the whipped cream and basically kind of become a cake, a super easy way to make a cake. So some of these I see more as not just poor man's as in financially poor, but you don't have a lot of time. So icebox cake. I use chocolate pudding and whipped cream for the icebox cake. Wait, is that what you're talking about? Okay, Linda says I've never made an icebox cake. Deb says I made it a lot when I lived in Hawaii with fresh pineapple. Oh, you must be. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. I gotta stay up on the chat better to understand. Now this one, I think I've had it, but I've never made it. And it's called dump cake. So it was cherry pie filling, which of course you can make your own, pineapple, dry cake mix over the top of that, and then thin slices of butter over the top of that. And then you bake it and everything just kind of soaks together and bakes. So basically you're just dumping a bunch of stuff in the pan and you're baking it. I know I've had this before somewhere. Somebody made it and it was really good, but super duper simple. So, I want to read what this is. I dry flake pineapple from zucchini. There you go. Works good for upside down cake. I was wondering about that because I've made pineapple zucchini before, but you still have to rely on having the pineapple juice to do that. But you can buy a bunch in bulk. Like I still have a bunch back there that I didn't make any pineapple zucchini this last year, but I might make it this year. Anyway, but yeah, I was wondering how well the pineapple zucchini would work for something like this. So, and then dehydrating it, that's interesting. I haven't tried dehydrating the pineapple zucchini after I've made it. So I may have to try that soon too. Besides, I still have a bunch. I have pineapple, but I also have passion fruit zucchini. And do I still have some black cherry? I think I might still have some black cherry zucchini back there, which is really good too. Let's see. So the dump cake and then lemon lush. So this was also done in layers. So you had like a pecan, I think it's supposed to say pecan shortbread, but I think it just pretty much any kind of shortbread, cream cheese, whipped cream with powdered sugar. Now this talks about using lemon pudding. Oh, wait, no, excuse me. Cream cheese whipped with powdered sugar. Helps if I understand what I wrote here. And then you had lemon pudding and whipped cream, and then you chill. There's no baking involved. Now, I don't know if I've ever had a lemon lush, but my sister makes these every now and then. She made, for our last family thing last summer, she made a peanut butter chocolate one. No, it was a peanut butter one. I don't know if I had chocolate in it. She got peanut butter Oreos and crushed those. That was the shortbread. And yeah, I know they're not the healthiest kind, but it was delicious. And she also has done the butterscotch one. So what did she use for a pudding on I don't remember what she used as a for the pudding and the peanut butter one. But in the butterscotch one, you do obviously butterscotch pudding. And that would, of course, be like boxed stuff, be it the kind you cook or the instant. I don't even know if they sell the box kind and the kind you cook. I think it's probably all instant now, which I used to love that stuff. Not anymore. I haven't bought it in many years. I liked lemon lush okay, but again, my family didn't. Have you ever tried it in any other flavor though? Because that would be good as with pistachio too. Because the instant pistachio pudding was one of my very favorite puddings. That and was what was the one I said? Oh, butterscotch. Those two were always my favorite. So let's see. But you could do make your own homemade, like even be it lemon, be it vanilla, add your own kind of flavors, homemade flavors, even orange. Oh, orange would be super good. So, and then, your, whipped cream, not Cool Whip. So one of the other reasons for doing these kind of videos, especially from the 70s, is to say there are better ways. You don't have to go with the instant stuff that usually has a bunch of garbage in it. Like the Cool Whip, you can just get heavy whipping cream, whip it up. It's easy to do. You just got to keep an eye on it and don't over whip if you don't want it to turn into butter. Never occurred to me to try another flavor, says Linda. So yeah, I don't think I've ever actually had the lemon. And then moving on, there was the banana pudding. I know that I've never made it, but I know people have made it. Now, going more old fashioned with this, the new fashioned way would be to use instant banana pudding. But normally it was just made with layers of custard, whipped cream, Nilla wafers, and then topped with a meringue. I don't remember it necessarily being topped with a meringue, but I'm sure you could make your own like vanilla cookies and then layer that, obviously your homemade whipped cream, your homemade custard, which are basically a vanilla pudding, and of course bananas. I forgot to write the bananas in here. Obviously you add bananas to it. That's why it's banana pudding. And then now here's one I used to make when the kids were young, and that was a Jello poke cake. So again, back when I used to buy Jello. But again, you can make your own gelatin, flavor it your own way, and do the same idea. So this is a fun one because if you've never seen it, never made it, you just make your basic cake. And usually you're going to do a white cake in this case because this is important, especially if your Jello has any color to it, which preferably it does. Let's say you're going to make a raspberry Jello or something like that. And then I would use a chopstick to get bigger holes. And then after you bake the cake, you poke holes all through the cake on the top. I go clear down to the bottom usually. And then you pour your gelatin unset over the top. It's got to be in the baking pan still. And then you not bake it again, you chill it. And then that Jello goes down into the cake and it adds that nice, wonderful flavor to the cake. And then when you cut the cake, you get these pretty slices. I did one again back when I used to buy Jello. I did one with a blue raspberry. That was pretty, pretty tasty. So anyway, but yeah, you could, again, these are things you could actually do from scratch. Get yourself some good, healthy beef gelatin without any flavor in it, obviously. And you could mix it with your own homemade raspberry juice or other kind of juice instead of water. And then you're going to get that flavor and that color. Blueberry. Let's see. What else? Blackberry. Whatever you think of. Orange, lemon. You use lemon juice, orange juice. So chocolate poke cake with chocolate pudding. Oh, there you go. There's that idea too. The thing I liked about the vanilla cake with the Jello, with the fruity Jellos, was you could see those colors. But if you're really into chocolate, that would be tasty. That would be a chocolate cake I would probably really like because I don't know. I was never a chocolate cake person. It just was usually too chocolatey and always seemed a little dry. But with the chocolate pudding, that would be pretty good. I always liked German chocolate, but I think I shared that with you guys. That I realized as I got older why the first time I made Black Forest cake, I realized why I like German chocolate cake was because you use sour cream in there, and that kind of helps break up that strong chocolate flavor. It wasn't just, yeah, I mean, and it just adds a nice flavor overall to the cake. And even though Patrick doesn't like sour cream, he loves when, which I haven't done in years. I keep saying I'm going to do it. He really likes my Black Forest cake when I make it. So I really got to make him one sometime for his birthday or something again. Not sure if this was mentioned, but rice pudding was my grandma's. Well, I'm still in the list. Still in the list. So hang on. Let's see. Oh, I skipped one. I skipped the dirt pudding. This was one for sure I looked up because I'm like, I don't remember this one for sure. I remember this one becoming popular in the 80s, not in the 70s. And I was right when I looked it up, this mostly because of the gummy worms. So you had a chocolate pudding with Cool Whip layered. Let's see, you put crushed Oreos, I think was in the bottom. No, crushed Oreos on top. So you had chocolate pudding layered with Cool Whip or whipped cream is better. And then they topped it with crushed Oreos to look like dirt. And then they stuck the gummy worms in there. So it looked like people would like put them in like clean, obviously new pots, like for flower pots. And then you'd have this dirt pudding with the gummy worms coming out of it. But gummy worms weren't a thing until the 80s. I don't know, maybe dirt pudding was in the 70s, but the gummy worms would have become a new addition later on because they didn't come out until I think it was 1981 was when they first started coming out. Maybe later. But that's pretty close to the 70s. So, oh, the cat litter ones. I've seen those with the Tootsie Rolls, but I've never had them. It just, yeah. You could even put almond roca on there because it looks like that rolled in cat litter. I like almond roca myself, but anyway. So yeah, I accidentally skipped the dirt pudding. I think it was because I circled it, and for some reason my eyes just decided to ignore it. I circled it because of it and wrote 1980s next to it. Okay, then you had your no-bake cheesecake. So cream cheese, blah. I've never made this. I've only made I can't speak. I've only made cheesecake from scratch, but this was simply, well, it is kind of from scratch, but this is a no-bake method where you just mix your cream cheese with sweetened condensed milk, maybe a little bit of lemon juice. This was, I think, the standard way to do it. The lemon juice kind of helped with the overall flavor. And then you whipped it all together and then chilled it in a graham cracker crust, which is easy to make a graham cracker crust yourself, by the way. All you need is a little sugar, butter, and some graham crackers that you crush. And I want to try this just for the heck of it because I used to make cheesecakes when my youngest son, for his birthday, because he loves cheesecake. But Patrick, again, we were talking about sour cream cheese, doesn't typically like desserts like that. That's why I don't make tiramisu anymore. I'd make it when the kids were at home because they like those things. But anyway, this would be something I could see making more if I just was really having a hankering for for cheesecake, but I didn't want to go through all that trouble just for me. And then I could make a smaller amount of it. So anyway, and then you could top it with anything you wanted. There was also another one in there where they called Cherry Delight that was made pretty much the same way, except for you put canned cherry pie filling on top. So Linda says, I adore no-bake cheesecake, though it can't hold a candle to New York baked cheesecake. See, I think I'd probably prefer the no bake version, but I don't know. I'll have to try it. I can't remember if I've ever tried it before. I know I've never made it. But anyway, by the way, I think I have a recipe for the mocha. It would be an old video. It was one of Justin's favorites. I'd make like basically the New York cheesecake and then have strawberries to go with it. Then I had one that was it was a little fluffier. Thinking it was a cheesecake. It was a mocha cheesecake, and I'd make like a chocolate crust for it. And he really liked that too. Again, something I haven't made in 100 years. Not like I'm 100 years old, neither are my kids. So anyway, what do I got here? I think my numbers are off. I wrote 10 and then I erased it and then wrote 11 and wrote the same thing in there, it looks like. So I may only have 19. But if you count the cherry delight and then the lemon no bake cheesecake, then that would make 20. So this next one, I haven't heard of it. Again, another one of those I'm curious if anyone's heard of, and it was called a wacky cake. It was another one of these simple where you kind of like the dump cake, but it would be good for those who are vegan because there's no eggs, no milk, or butter. Basically, you just added your other ingredients, your flour, your sugar, all your dry ingredients into the pan. And then you made little like wells, and you used one for vinegar, and you had baking powder in the mix. One for vinegar, one for what was it? Vinegar. Did I write it down? Oh, darn it. I didn't write it down. I didn't write down all the details. But anyway, there was 3 little wells that you put these stuff in. And then it seems like, and then they poured hot water over the top. I don't think they mixed it. They just poured hot water over the top and then baked it. And apparently it turned out really good. I can't remember what the other thing was. Sorry, you'll have to look it up. Wacky cake, it was called. So anyone share with me if you've heard of wacky cake or made it. Okay, next one was oatmeal cake. So basically a spice cake with quick oats and coconut frosting. This sounds super good. This sounds like something I would really like. I also really liked spice cake. Anything that wasn't chocolate cake, pretty much, I liked. And there was a chocolate cobbler, which was a thin chocolate cake. So let's see. Okay, let me read this. Okay, a thin layer chocolate cake, thin layer of that, and then you sprinkled dry cocoa powder and sugar. You scattered it over the batter. And another one where you pour boiling water over the entire thing, no stirring. And it's kind of like the wacky cake. Slight differences. But anyway, maybe pretty much the same thing. But let me see. The wacky cake wasn't necessarily chocolate. But this was called a chocolate cobbler. And the pictures I saw looked really rich and yummy. Okay, this one also sounds good to me. It was called prune cake. Don't know that I've ever had it, but prunes simmered and mashed into spice cake batter with a buttermilk glaze. See, we called it depression cake, always chocolate. So are you talking about the chocolate cobbler? Is that what you're talking about? Being a depression cake? Now, by the way, another thing I wanted to say, there were some of these that did say it actually came from the Depression era. I thought I wrote down a year. Not 1980s. There was another one that let's see. It was like from 19 something. I don't remember. An old poor man's dessert recipe. I can't remember which one. I can't remember which one it was. I was sure I wrote that down and I'm not seeing it. Oh, it was the prune. No, it wasn't the prune cake. It's the next one I'm going to read that comes from 1928. And it was called tomato soup. Tomato soup. What does this say? Looks like I made a mistake and wrote soup twice. Tomato soup spice cake, maybe? And the tomatoes in the cake activated the baking powder to get a good rise, and you couldn't taste the tomatoes in it. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I guess the recipe originally came from 1928, carried over into the 70s, and then finally just, you know, you just didn't hear about it anymore. So, next one is rice pudding. So there you go. There's the rice pudding. Definitely, this would definitely be one that you call a poor man's dish because it's just rice simmered in whole milk, sugar, vanilla, cinnamon, added sometime. Let's see, man, I need to edit my handwriting or proofread and then edit before I start reading these out loud. But sometimes raisins were added, which sounds a lot like the next one, which I have made, which is an excellent way to use up your dried out ends of your bread, and that is bread pudding. So a similar idea, you chop your bread up into pieces. You can add, it was really common to add raisins, but you don't have to if you don't like raisins and stuff. And then milk, sugar, vanilla, spices, and then you just bake it and it makes this it is a really it's really, really good. I've only made it one time. I need to make this again. So then another cake would be applesauce cake. So spice cake with applesauce to replace the fat. Now, replacing the fat in cakes with applesauce is a really good way to, reduce if you want to reduce the fat or just use up applesauce. And plus, apple is going to add a little more flavor to it than just your fats, like your cooking oils and stuff that a lot of people would use. In fact, the common cooking oils that were used like in the 70s and up were your less healthy cooking oils. So replacing those with applesauce would definitely make it more healthy. So, especially if it's your own homemade applesauce from your own apples and you know exactly what's in it. So, bread pudding is a to die for as well. Let's see, bread pudding I grew up with, but wasn't my favorite. I wonder if some of it too, Linda, depends on just how it's made. I'm thinking now that I've gone back into making caramel sauce, I can see putting a little caramel sauce on top of this when it's hot and then letting it kind of seep down into it. I think that would be super yummy. Let's see. Oh, moving on. So we had the applesauce cake and another one called Magic Cookie Bars. Never heard of this one, but it was just super, super simple. Graham cracker crust, sweetened condensed milk. Does it crust? Okay, yeah. So you press the graham cracker into the pan like you would for a cheesecake. And then you poured over that sweetened condensed milk over the top of that. So you're layering it. You'd put butterscotch and or chocolate chips. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Sorry. Text messages coming in. And then what else? And then shredded coconut and then walnuts. Was it a no bake? I guess you baked it. Yeah, I think you baked it. I forgot to write that little tip down, but look it up. Magic cookie bars. I think this sounds really good. Let's see. My uncle had an apple orchard. We had everything apples. Made them all the time, but it's been years. So is that the magic bars all the time? Okay. Magic. Okay. I use pecan. Oh, pecans. Yeah. I like pecans a little better than walnuts when it comes to that, but I love both. And then anyway, and any other, by the way, any other of your own little um tweaks that you did, if you made any of these, what are your own little tweaks that you would do with these recipes? So this is kind of fun because we have to learn from people of all ages that have been, been there, done that. And yeah. So dream bars was the last one. Similar to the magic coconut or yeah, the magic cookie bars. It's a shortbread base instead of graham cracker. So shortbread base, eggs, brown sugar, vanilla, nuts, and coconut poured over the top. So this mixture of all these poured over the top. So very, very similar, and it sounded really good as well. And I'm sure I kind of feel like some of these stuff have things missing in them, like because I'm just listening to these on the on the sorry, on these AI videos. And it's like, man, some of this, I don't even know how accurate it is because, well, it's AI. At least the stuff that I was familiar with, yes, seemed accurate, but some of it didn't, I wasn't sure about. So this is another reason why I really want real life people interaction on this, since I'm just reading these and I don't know about a lot of these things. Um, yeah, I just would like to learn more. It could be kind of fun, but some of these I really want to try for certain. And any tweaks or ideas or whatever, please share. So what's Deb say? Date bars was something we had a lot in the 60s and 70s. I think I've had those. Are they? Oh wait, no, date bars, not fig bars. I don't know if I've had them before. It sounds familiar. So there's another one. There. That will be our number 20. Thanks, Deb. we made it 20. So excuse me. Sorry, let me spray a little bit of my precious metal infusion in here. Along with the peppermint oil. The peppermint oil helps too because it kind of helps numb it a little bit. And yeah. So I didn't get a notification and just remembered, oh, well, I still have another topic. So you arrived just in time for that. I was going to go on and do another in my series of my 3 things to grow and stock up on. But I'm going to save that for next week because another idea came to mind today based on comments or questions that recently came in this morning. I think it was either last night or this morning. We had date bars with real whipped cream. Similar to fig bars, but with date filling. Okay. Yum. Yum, yum, yum. And surely 100 times better than store-bought Fig Newtons, right? Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going to have to keep putting my my glasses on. Hey, buddy. Almost forgot. Grandma's got a treat for you if you got too bored. You want to go sit over here? You can color and you can enjoy some snacks there. So, okay. This one, I don't even know what I'm going to title the standalone video I make from this yet. I'm sure I'll figure it out. I'm just going to basically start talking, but basically it's having to do with, I never turned on my little pillar candles back there. I knew something was missing. I got to turn them on. There we go. That was easy. Not that you can stand with my big head and my big hair today. It's not that big today. But I don't usually wear it down for the lives. I usually pull it back. So, okay. So this is, again, because I don't know what I said already. Let me put a little lip balm on. It has to do with growing and using herbs of various kinds. And we're talking specifically about medicinal herbs in this case. So one of the things I've really noticed especially in more recent years, and maybe it's always been a thing. I mean, there's always a thing with something. There's always a fad. There's always some kind of food fad or drink fad or dress fad or makeup fad. Everything has a fad. and fads come and go, diet fads. Well, medicinal herbs are no different. So, what happens is somebody will share, maybe they're learning about different herbs, or maybe somebody's growing a specific herb that most people have never even heard of, and they start sharing the benefits of it. And then all of a sudden, everybody gets on board and feels like they have to have it. And then everybody is asking everybody else, have you heard of this? This is great stuff, and blah, 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 blah. Nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting that down. But the thing with a lot of these fads is that sometimes people start feeling like, what did I write down here? Um, like it's because of the way so many people start talking about it. Like one of the latest ones is soursop, which is actually a fruit. The fruit and the leaves are used. I know very, very little about it. I've never tried it. It is a tropical fruit. It does not grow here. It is not something you can commonly find in stores anywhere around here. At least not that I've ever heard or seen. Sometimes Misfits Market will get some tropical fruits. That's how I finally tried passion fruit for the first time, and then realized that, oh, now I realize why you always have passion fruit juice, because it's pretty much just juice, and you can't eat much else of it. It tastes great, but it's not worth the cost. Um, and it's also how I tried dragon fruit for the first time, was through Misfits Market, because it was a lot cheaper to buy it and try it through there. And I found I really didn't care much for the red dragon fruit, but the yellow is good. But it was a nice thing to try for a time. Just try it, just for something different. But though all these things can have benefits, like the soursop, everybody's just going crazy about all the health benefits of soursop. But how many of you can grow it? How many of you can easily just run down to the store and get it? Maybe it is excellent for these different health benefits, but surely, don't call me Shirley. Stop calling me Shirley. No, surely you can find something that you can either grow or easily access in your own area that has all these same benefits. So I've come to a point when it comes to what I grow medicinally that I'm kind of done adding certain types of herbs that have the same job. And even out of the ones I already grow and have started growing and have been fairly successful with, I'm finding there are those that are perennials that pretty much just grow in the wild, that I don't have to always depend on the annuals, that I have to start early, because in our cold, wet climate, the seed that falls tends to drown and die and rot away before it can spring back in the spring. And so some of these things are becoming more and more pointless for me to keep growing. Certain ones I will keep doing, but I also no longer feel that pressure to always make sure I have a lot of this. If it's an annual or an herb that grows as an annual in our area, or if it's even a perennial that tends to be a little temperamental because of our colder weather and high incredibly high amounts of rain. Now, some people that maybe live in the Appalachians or however you pronounce it, as I always say, potato, potato. I don't care. You know what I mean. Some people, they can get a lot of rain in some of those places, but they're only a third of what we get. They might grow echinacea beautifully, but here it can be a battle sometimes. Now, I have a really great echinacea plant. I used to have more. All it takes is one little thing for that plant to die and never come back again. And this year, the last 2 years, I've tried starting echinacea, and I get them to start, they sprout, they start growing, and then all of a sudden they up and die. And I haven't been able to get plants to carry over. And I've kind of come to a point where it's like, I love echinacea. It's always been one of my favorite herbs. I mostly use the flower petals and the leaves, and it is great for building the immune system. And so many other things. However, there are other things I don't have to fight with every year. Like once I started growing the black elderberry, I don't have to fight with it. I have to fight with the birds to keep them off of it. But usually they'll leave the flowers alone, and the flowers have just about as many, and I get tons of flowers, just about as many health benefits as the berries. And so and the problem with here is by the time, because black elderberries ripen much later than the reds. See, reds are wild here. And you can use the reds the same way you use the black. I know that now. I probably would have never started growing the black elderberries had I already known that, because red elderberries grow everywhere and they're already flowering, where the blacks won't flower until much later in the season. But by the time they start fruiting, that's when our heavy winds pick up, and then it starts blowing all the berries off onto the ground before they can fully ripen. And so, though I'll still use what I can, obviously, at least I can depend on the black elderberries to keep coming back every year without any issue, whereas I never know what my echinacea is gonna do. And I'm sad that I only have 1 plant. The last 2 years, I've only or 3 years, I've only had 1 plant, and it's disappointing, and I can't seem to get my young ones, or, my new ones I start, to carry over to stay alive long enough to replace the ones I've lost. So my point is there's nothing wrong with learning about, and new herbs, new fruits, or vegetables or nuts that can be good for various things. Like me, I love Brazil nuts. Do Brazil nut trees grow here? No. So even though I'm using the Brazil nuts right now as a selenium, supplement, that's my selenium supplement. I also have eggs. I have chickens that produce eggs. So I could live without the Brazil nuts, but it's also a good excuse for me to have Brazil nuts every day because I love them. So I will continue to stock up on them as long as I'm able. But let me finish reading my notes real quickly here. By the way, I saw Billy was here. Hi, Billy. It's good to see you. I don't get to see you much around. See, I also allowed half of my backyard to grow wild for a bit over a year, and then went back through with a weed eater and mulched everything except blackberries and huckleberries that came up. Have you tried using electroculture in your garden? If you're talking about me, oh, you're talking to anyone. Nope. It would be pointless here. Rain, 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 and then, oh, yes, rain, and then more rain. Yeah, it'd be pointless. Just like using copper to get, keep slugs away. Pointless. First rain, it immediately is oxidized and the slugs go right over it. I know, I've tried. So let me read Billy's previous comment because I think it goes. So for about 15 years, my gardening technique has been throw a bunch of seeds in the dirt and see what sticks, then plant more of that. Exactly. Exactly. So see, what was it? What, what did I miss? I wish I could just play you saying that to some people. Drives me nuts when people correct me, but oh, the potato. the Appalachia. I'm just gonna make something up just for the heck of it. Just to irritate people even more. Let's see. So what Billy said there about just throwing seeds in the ground and see what grows instead of constantly fighting for stuff. Now there was things that were important for me, like the mullein is still kind of an issue. It's still because of our climate. I did get some to grow, but I still have to start seeds inside. The seed that falls from the plant does not automatically just start new plants. Same thing with calendula. Other people go, "Oh yeah, my calendula reseeds and I get new plants every year." It doesn't happen that way here. It just doesn't. Seeds get waterlogged and they won't sprout again. And a lot of times we don't get it. Maybe in a lot of cases, we're just not getting a good enough freeze in the winter for them to stratify, because some should be stratified. I'll keep trying to grow mullein, but here's the deal. I do have other plants that I can find around. I can go down to our other piece of property, and I've done this many times and I'll keep doing it. or anywhere around here. Every time I'm going driving around anywhere here, I'm like, oh look, there's more usnea. Usnea. Those people don't even realize what's hanging off their trees. And usnea has very similar benefits to mullein. And if I have to keep fighting with mullein to get it to grow, I'll just change my focus to those things. I'll try for a little longer. I do have a plant out here that's alive that I had started from seed last year, and we'll see how it does. And there may be a couple more. And then I'm hoping that I can get some flowers, get seeds from that will be even more acclimated, not just to our general climate area, but to my own little growing microclimate. And if that works good for me, great. If not, I can go get mullein with or usnea without having to work to grow it. I just have to do the work to gather it. That's it. And so I guess that's what I want to say is that yes, learn about, try new things. Nothing wrong with that. That's how I got marshmallow to grow. Took me a couple of years. Now it grows like a weed in my area. Same thing with valerian. Took me a couple of years to find out. Well, I got to sand the seeds a little bit and then they'll germinate better, and then they'll sprout and they'll grow. And now I get new valerian plants popping up, and the marshmallow plants all over the place. In fact, I'll be digging up some on Friday to take to my fellowship on Saturday because I promised some people I'm going to give them some marshmallow plants because I say I'll have plenty coming up in my garden like I do every year. But anyway, valerian and marshmallow are perennials. I don't have to start them fresh every year. Mullein is a biennial. So you got to make sure that in a year it flowers, you save those seeds and start them again early the next year because the one that's flowering is not going to come back. It's only good for 2 years. So you got to constantly be starting new ones. If you live in a place where, what is this? I'm getting an ad now. Quit with the ad garbage. Where like here, the seeds that fall to the ground, like the mullein, or excuse me, the marshmallow and the valerian, yeah, they'll fall to the ground and sprout again. But the calendula and the echinacea and what else was I talking about? Certain other ones don't do that. The mullein, I have to start them inside early the next year for them, or in the greenhouse for me to get any plants out of them. So there may come, I'll keep doing the calendula. I'll keep doing, like I started a ton of calendula this year. I'll keep doing the mullein as, at least for another year or two. But if there ever comes a point where I'm just like, I don't have the time or the energy to mess with this stuff, I'm going to keep focusing on the things I don't have to worry about. I never have to worry about dandelion or plantain or comfrey. And these are excellent herbs with just a plethora of health benefits. Typically, I don't have to worry about yarrow, but for some reason, I did lose the last of my yarrow plants a couple of years ago. But now I've got new yarrow that I started both from seed last year and some starts that I bought from Azure Standard. So I hope that chair's not too noisy. He likes to get in this rocking chair right here, but he just ran off. So he ate all his snacks, and there was sugar in those snacks. So he's probably going to be wound up. He's a pretty good kid. Let me see here. Let me look some more. So learn about, I guess my point in all this is to really learn about what you can grow easily, because there's nothing wrong with trying things or buying some of these other things. There could be a point where you can't get those things anymore, or you can't grow these things at all. Why continue fighting with it when you can just learn about what grows for you in your own area that has the same health benefits? Now, I do like having several herbs that do roughly the same thing. So, for example, I was mentioning the dandelion and the yarrow and the comfrey and the plantain. These are all very, very excellent herbs for skin healing and general skin health. And others would be honeysuckle, camellia, and marshmallow. These are all things I can grow easily. But the other things not as easily or aren't worth the trouble would be like calendula, pansies. I do have pansies that come back every year, but usually just one or two of my plants. Love them. But if it ever came right down to it, I'm not going to keep hassling with the pansies. And violets are great. They're perennial and they do shoot off seeds that just keep making more and more plants every year, but they're a pain. They're so tiny. They're hardly worth, you can use the leaves too, but they're kind of hardly worth it. So for me, I would rather focus on the things I don't even have to worry about. I don't have to put the work and time and energy into it. And arnica, oh, thank you for that one. I was worried I wasn't going to get arnica, but now that I finally had that year, I got a couple of successful plants that put out seed, and now I get a ton of arnica here. Even in our cool, very wet climate, arnica tends to like the mountains of Montana, and yet it seems happy here. Now there's acclimated, so I don't have to worry about that. Arnica is also really good for skin health, but I grow it specifically. Two main reasons. It's a very expensive herb to buy. It's one of the more expensive ones to get, the arnica flowers, but also it's excellent, especially combined with comfrey, for helping with bruises, sprains, and breaks. So that's the main reason why I grow arnica. And it always gets combined with the comfrey and a few other herbs that go into my joint and muscle rub. I use it in soaks like that a couple different times since I've had my channel. I've broken a toe and I've used it for soaks with that, and it's excellent. The comfrey and the arnica is really, really good at helping to heal broken bones and sprains. So those are important to me. And I don't have to worry about it. These things grow like crazy. Some other things like for helping with immunity, since it seems like the echinacea and the mullein uh kind of troublesome growing these things here. Well, I've got the elderberries and flowers. I've got marshmallow, which is really good for colds and flus, and it's good for anything mucous membrane related. We've got the usnea, we've got turkey tail that grows wild as well, and then lamb's ear. Lamb's ear has similar properties to mullein, and it's a perennial. I don't have to worry about it. It comes back every year and it puts out seed and tends to make new plants. Not as prolifically as maybe the feverfew that I use for pain, but that's another one I don't have to worry about. So, why should I spend so much time and energy on things that don't grow so well for me or I have to struggle with every year? Learn about them, yes. If I can get them to grow, good. Then I can combine it because there's nothing wrong with having a few different herbs that have the same job, because one herb is going to work better for one person and this herb over here that does the same thing will work better for that person, or maybe the combination of the two can make it even more powerful in whatever you're going to use it for. So really that's my point. Learn about these things, but don't get so caught up in the fad over these things and feel like you have to have this or you have to grow this, especially if money and time is an issue, or just your physical abilities. Why do you want to keep fighting with something that's not going to work for you when there's very likely something that already grows around you in the wild that does the same thing, and you won't have to work at it other than what it take the time and effort it takes to gather it. So what do we say here? Thanks for this reminder, Heidi. I feel stressed at times having to grow specific things. Right. More research needed for me. And so really that's where my focus is now more so. I'll still keep trying to do videos on the benefits of this or that when I learn about something. Usually I wait until it's something I've used or am already growing. Sorry, I just spit on you guys. It's a good thing you got a screen between you and me, or you would have just had a Heidi, a shower. But yeah, my focus more is to learn more about the things I can grow well. Borage is another one. It is an annual. but I never, ever, ever have to plant borage. I've got borage popping up all over out there. In fact, I have to weed it out because I get too much and it will cover up my corn. I don't mind letting it grow among the corn as long as gives the corn a chance to get taller. Because if it doesn't, the corn, if it shades it out, the corn's not going to grow. So at any rate, yeah, just, like Billy was saying, to throw in the seeds in the ground, see what grows, then focus on that. And don't worry about the things that aren't going to do well. Now, you can still keep trying with something. I recommend if it's an herb or some kind of, even if it's a fruit or a vegetable you just want to grow because you like it, try it for a few years if you really, really want it. If you all it takes is sometimes just to get one plant that's going to put out seed that's a little more acclimated to your area, just like I did with the marshmallow, and then next thing you know, you got that plant coming out your ears. Sometimes that's all it takes. So it might take a little time and patience, and the arnica and the valerian and some of these other things. So, it's like dandelion and calendula have very, very similar benefits. They're pretty closely related too. So, if it came right down to it, I wouldn't worry so much about the calendula as long as I have my dandelion. I'm good. But I do really like calendula, so I'm going to keep trying to grow it as long as I'm willing to and have the time and energy. So, don't adapt your environment to your desires, adapt your desires to your environment. That's excellent advice. See, an annual that reseeds is effectively a perennial. Exactly. That's why I tend to kind of forget about those because, well, see, feverfew reseeds and is perennial. And I got that coming up everywhere. But yeah, borage, I tend to forget about it because I just don't have to think about it, just like a perennial. Because like you say, it's essentially a perennial because even though the original plant may have died, it's made a whole bunch of new plants. In fact, it's so prolific that the ones that grew that season and the ones that came up first and dropped seed, those seed will start before the season's even over, will start growing new plants. So it's never an issue. And we have a short growing season even. And still, I can get new borage plants from the seed that fell in that very same season. It's crazy. It grows very quickly. And I love it. It's a great one. The leaves are very spiky, but they have a nice cucumber taste. The whole plant is edible. It's full of water. It's a good adaptogen that can help your body adapt to any type of stress. And the beautiful little blue flowers are just so wonderful in salad with that light cucumber flavor and the beautiful blue color. And just really good for you. I love borage. I don't always remember to mention it, but it's a great one. It was one of the first ones that I bought seed for, then found out I didn't need to buy seed for it because my neighbor had a bunch of it growing wild. He's like, "Why did you buy seeds for that? I've got a whole bunch right here." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know." And another new favorite of mine, new within the last few years, is the lovage. That stuff is so great and it's multi-purpose, high in quercetin, very good for you. And here I've got two very big, healthy plants. I haven't seen any new plants coming up from seed, but the plants I have just keep coming back and getting bigger every year. And so last year, I got a whole bunch of seed off of it. This year, my main focus is to get a whole bunch put up, both in the stalks in the form of to use as celery and soups and whatnot, and then the greens for, if I want to make tinctures out of it, but mostly for mixing in with my mixed greens that can go on anything. By the way, the leaves of the lovage have a much stronger celery taste than the stalk. The stalk tastes more like your standard celery, but the leaves are more powerful in that flavor. So people who don't like the taste of lovage leaves might not mind the taste of the stalks. So because it is much more mild. But I love it because I'm getting a medicinal herb and a vegetable. It's great. So my neighbor has uncontrollable bamboo. I've heard that I love the look of bamboo. It can make a good privacy fence, but yeah, It's a grass. So let's see. It's a big help. My local beekeeper mixes half honey and half ACV in a jar and takes about 2 tablespoons every morning. So you're talking about oxymil. This is what I like doing the what'd you say, half honey and half vinegar. So that's an oxymil. I like doing a similar idea, but using homemade wine because it tastes better. And so I do half honey, half homemade wine, and then use that as my solvent for like, especially the rosemary. That's my favorite one to do that with. And it's just good all the way around. But I like to use that specifically as an antiviral, antibacterial to take internally. And then the longer it extracts, and the more powerful, because I'll use fresh rosemary in that case. That rosemary flavor gets really strong, and you can even, when you take it to help clear your lungs, even you can feel it working because it's in the mint family, so you're getting that strong, whatever. I don't know what to call it, but I can actually kind of feel it sort of clearing things up in there when I take it like that. But I like to let it extract for at least a year. The longer it extracts, the better it is, and it gets so strong, and it does not spoil because honey doesn't spoil, wine doesn't spoil. The worst thing is going to happen to wine is it's going to turn to vinegar. But not if you keep a tight fitting lid on it. I like to throw everything at my ailment. I'm the same way. It tastes awful, but honey, garlic, elderberry, turkey tail, cayenne, etc. Yeah, any hot peppers are great. It's that capsaicin in there. I just mix it all and shoot it like liquor. There you go. Okay, let me just double check. Okay, so those were my 2 main topics, and it's really I'm really kind of done. And so as far as the food, the meals and stuff, I want to continue this. I might focus on some other topic for the AI thing, the AI videos. I got a couple others I'd like to do, but I'd like to come back to this and look at different either decades or maybe even like, I know there's a lot of Depression era things out there. There was that one lady, what's her name, that passed away a few years back, and she had a great channel where she did a lot of Depression era cooking because she lived through it. And that's a great channel. Somebody I'm sure has seen it and can share the name of it. Why her name totally escapes me right now. So I'm hoping somebody will share that. But I thought it would still be a fun one to do because I've seen some of the AI gathered ones, that talks about Depression era hacks or cooking. I've done the Depression era, money saving things, but I'm looking more at the recipes, the food recipes. Clara, I was thinking it started with a C, and I was trying to remember. Clara, yep, you're right. I forget the channel name. It's not like Cooking with Clara or Clara's Depression era cooking, or I don't know. I know neither one of those are right, but I'm sure you could find it if you did a search and just put Clara Depression era cooking, you would find her channel. And I think her family has even, I think I'm still subscribed to it. And it seems like, I don't think I've seen anything new, but I think her family was finding some older videos that never got, or some videos she had shot that never got put out before she passed away, and had also published those. So maybe edited them. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been so long. I kind of forget that channel's out there, but it is a great channel. Just, someone who was there, been there, done that. And she just had such a fun, great demeanor about her too. You just fall in love with her right away. So when I transplant anything I find in the wild, I take a good 8 to 10 inches of dirt around it. Very, very good advice there. Sometimes I know this is the mistake I've made, is not taken enough of whatever's around it to go with it if I'm going to transplant it. I think that's why the huckleberry I tried to transplant that I stole out of the forest. Shh, don't tell anyone. Yeah, this was years ago. I had a couple of small plants. They just didn't. They died. I was bummed because I love huckleberry, but I don't like going out and gathering it. So real huckleberries, not them garden huckleberries that are related to a pepper and have terrible taste to them. They're beautiful, but they taste terrible. They're like black, and they're annuals. They're not a perennial like the true wild huckleberry. Great Depression Cooking with Clara is the name. Thank you, Deb. You could even put that link if you want to. I just realized they changed the moderator symbol. There's no wrench there anymore. It's like a shield. Huh. I liked the wrench, especially when I think it was Billy. In fact, it was in a live show. I got this idea from him. I'm sure it was him. It was somebody's live show, and there were some moderators. I don't remember what was going on, and he's like, "Well, I've got a wrench too because you can put the emoji in there. It's a blue wrench." He goes, "Mine squeaks." I think it was you. I don't remember if it was you or not. I still think that's hilarious. I love that. It's a squeaky one. Squeak, squeak. Because it is like fatter and bigger than the actual moderator wrench, but it's the same color. I've got a wrench too. Oh, back in the days of the Homestead Network, and we're all we had so much fun. You see a wrench? Okay. From my end, it's not a wrench. It's like a little blue shield. That's weird. Yeah, it's just a solid blue shield. There you go. And now it's a shield that squeaks. That's great. Oh my gosh. I'll never forget that. Oh, we used to have so much fun. Pat would get on one computer and I'd be on the other, and we'd be moderating, but also in there joking around with everyone. Lots of fun, and each other. And me and I had the frying pan, remember? I had the frying pan I was always going to beat Mr. Rain over the head with. Oh, those were the days. Those are less complicated days on the internet, right? No kidding. You could talk about more stuff too and not get, in trouble, not get put in YouTube jail. Like this. You used to be able to talk about this on YouTube. Now you can't talk about it anymore. Oh, you get demonetized, or even, have your whole channel removed. And I'll have people saying, "Oh, what is that?" I was like, "Well, if I told you, I would probably lose my channel, even though it's a completely safe ingredient. People buy this precious metal and store it up. But as soon as you turn it into a liquid form," I went down the rabbit hole before the censorship was in full swing. There you go. Let's see. Anyone else have every horizontal surface in their kitchen and dining room covered with drying racks? Well, I don't, but yeah, good plan. I mean, I have my electric around here. Hanging herbs to dry is pointless because when it's hot, it's humid. When it's not hot, it's damp because it's raining, and the dampness is everywhere. If I grew herbs in the wintertime, I could dry them next to the wood stove. That'd be fine. Well, and I do dry stuff next to the wood stove in the wintertime, but there's not much that grows around here in the wintertime. See, my wife makes sure every horizontal surface in my house is covered with something. There you go. Gotta have all kinds of projects. I do have those days where my kitchen is just every countertop is covered with something because I have too many projects going on, but I can't stand it for long. It's like I need I need to have at least some surface because it's not just my projects, it's Mr. Rain's projects. Usually for Patrick, it's the table and one of the counters, and it's usually a lot of paperwork and notes. He's always taking notes. Yeah. I've had my house taken over by drying things. So dusty here. See, and that's the other thing, that the hanging the herbs to dry if it's dusty. Yeah, so even when I'm drying things next to the wood stove, because of the wood stove, it gets very dusty in the living room. So I now keep a towel, a nice looking kitchen towel covering my rack so it keeps the dust and ashes off of that. So yeah, and then here drying in the sun is also pointless because, well, we don't get a lot of sun. I always get a little uncomfortable drying herbs in the sun. I worry about, I mean, it's one thing when they're alive and they're in the ground and collecting sun, but once they're removed from the plant, I wonder if the sun could damage the benefits of them. So some of them maybe. I don't know. I haven't looked very seriously into every single herb and, sun damage, but I always like to play it safe and just not dry things in the sun. I mean, fruits and vegetables and stuff, that I wouldn't worry about that, but not the medicinal herbs. But I could be wrong. So I keep thinking I'm kind of like stalling here because I keep thinking there was something else I wanted to say that I'm forgetting. But I guess it doesn't really matter a whole lot. I am irritated that I forgot to turn my little pillars on, so they won't be in the first half that I turn into a video. But whatever, I know nobody really cares. I like it. I'm just looking through my notes to see if there was anything else. What's this? Oh, okay, this is the one I just did. Let me cross that off so I know. Already talked about this. This one I can rip out. Done with that. So yeah, see, this is my old school way. I get these free or cheap at garage, secondhand, and then I write my notes so I can carry it around everywhere. I don't use the computer and stuff for my notes. I probably should, since I can't read them, but let's see. Let me see. Okay, I wanted to double check and see what his text message said there. Okay, well, I should probably get off here because, as I always say, not only do I have a lot to do, I know you guys have a lot to do. And this is why I very much appreciate the time you come in here, even if it's just for a few minutes to come in, even if it's someone like Tyler who comes in just to throw a couple of smart aleck remarks and leave. I still love the fact that you guys take a little bit of your time to just come in here and hang with us, because I know things are just going to keep getting busier through the season, and it means a lot to me, and it is so much fun, and it is a way I can basically shoot 2 videos and still get the interaction. I love it. It's so fun. And that's the other reason why it's always hard for me to get off of here, because I enjoy the time so much. But I do have things I need to go do, like edit videos. It's not sunny enough to do much outside today. Well, it's dry enough I could, but there's not really much I can do today, and not sunny enough to want to hang out outside. But I do have enough inside to get done. Anyway, so I'm going to go, and I hope you'll all have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for coming in. Take care, and God bless. Bye. You going to come over and wave? No? Bye. Well, yeah, okay. Good enough.